Hi, so today we are going to be talking about how to use Foundry through the Python SDK as much as possible. You can see I have this notebook set up here you can follow along to. It's located on a GitHub page. There's also links in our docs. There is going to be quite a bit of UI work you have to do at the very beginning to kind of get it ready. But once you get it all set up through the UI, it's very easy to use and you should be able to just keep using it. I'll go through that UI work in addition to showing you each of these methods of how to use them. To start, you're going to, obviously install Labelbox, get your imports ready, and get your keys out. In this case, I already ran this, but you're going to create a data set. I use just a sample photo we have. You're going to need to get the global key from it and set one. You'll need that later on, so I have that set up right here. Here is that image I have. In our case, in this example, we're going to be using Amazon Rekognition, and we're going to be finding each of the people and each of the vehicles in this picture. Amazon Rekognition can do multiple different things, but I'm just going to pick up those two. So I went ahead and had that set up. The next step you're going to do is create an ontology. Now, this is kind of important. You need to be recognized that you're going to have an ontology that sort of matches the model you're going for. So for Amazon Rekognition, it uses a lot of bounding box annotations. So you're going to have an ontology with those two features. The name doesn't matter. Later on, you'll see why, because you're going to be able to map it to any name you want to. I can name this vehicle. I can name this human. It doesn't matter. But likewise, like for example, if I had YOLO V8, classifications, it would use classification annotations, and you're going to have obviously an ontology that has those classifications to match. So you create the ontology. There it is. The next step is to actually create the project and then attach the ontology you just made. So I went ahead and did that already. So if I go to annotate right here, you can see this one I made does not have the data yet. You're going to need to do your predictions first, and then you can add your data. So actually run the Foundry app and then run it in as a batch. So I have the ontology connected. You can see a person, car, bounding box. Okay. Once I have that set up, you're going to need to create an actual Foundry application. You can't just call the model directly. So you're going to do that through the UI. It's very simple. You're going to go to Model tab, create right here, app, and then the first one right here, Amazon Rekognition. Again, there's wide selection. You can search, but in this case, we're just going to do this. You're going to need to give this a name. So we're going to do Foundry Demo V2, V1. Proceed. Right here on this side, you're going to be able to give it to any parameters you want. Some of the models have way more. For Amazon Rekognition, you can change the ontology, change what you want to do. I can remove adult, I can remove airplane, whatever I want to there. I can set this confident level, so it has to be a certain confidence before it picks it up. Let's just set this like 0.7 in this case, just for testing purposes. You can run actual data to preview everything and find the perfect model for your use case. Once that's done, you're going to do save and create right here. You're going to go to, you can go ahead and select it here, but how to get to this tab is do model, apps. You're going to find the one you just made. So this Foundry Demo V1, click this app up ID. You're going to need to get that. You can also get it from the URL, but go ahead and grab that. And then you're going to paste that right here. So we're going to run that. And then here is how to actually run the app through Foundry. So for this, you're going to need to give it a unique name. You can see I have Amazon and then some unique characters. You need to give it a global key that we pulled up from that data set, a list of them in this section. And then you're going to have to get that app ID, what you had right there. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. Now this is going to take a little bit of time to actually boot up the model that you're running through. Some of them take longer than others. And obviously the more data rows you have, the longer it's going to take. There's usually just a small startup cost. So like it might take a little bit to start up, but once it actually starts up, it'll run through them quick. It also, if the model was recently used, it can go a little bit quicker. There's a lot of things that can affect this. It's usually pretty quick, like that quite pretty instant. So now I can go ahead and view and catalog. So I can actually view which data row that specific run went to. You can see it picked up all these people, the persons, stuff like this. The next step is kind of getting this over to that project I created. You can see when I was running this in the task, I grabbed the actual model run ID. You're going to need to get that ID to actually run it through to send to annotate from model. You can grab it from this task. You can also grab it from the UI. with the actual app. You can see the different model runs. But in this case, we'll just grab it from the task right there. So the next step is you're going to have to get your prediction ontology mapping. To do this, you're going to go to the actual send to annotate. So you're going to go here, manage selection, send to annotate. Basically, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be trying to get the mapping between whatever Amazon Rekognition feature you have to the actual ontology feature you have that matches in Labelbox. So in this case, you're going to go to include this. You don't need to fill out a workflow step if you're doing it through the SDK. You're going to be able to pick that there. But you're going to scroll down. You can see this map feature. Let's do car to car, and then let's do person to person. And then you're going to copy this, right? And there's this top right corner. So copy that map. That's going to give you a dictionary item that you can paste here. So, okay, I went ahead and had that mapping. The next part is actually sending these as these pre-labels or ground truths to your actual project, so that way you can begin using them. There's quite a bit of parameters. The main method you're going to use is on that model run, send to annotate from model. You'll get the destination, project ID, and whatever task you're going to. In this case, I'm going to use none, but to grab the actual ID you use, you would use a method called project.taskUse, and you can run through it. You know, if you had them set to initial labeling, it would just be pre-labels. If in this case, since it's set to none, they're going to be as ground truths, as like the final product in the done phase. You're going to pass those global keys you had. There's also some other parameters you can run in through here. This is where that mapping comes into place. Exclude data rows in projects. So any data rows you can just exclude right there. Override existing annotation rules. In this case, we're going to override with our new predictions, but if there was some there, you would just keep the existing. You can change that. The batch priority, basically this is batching these up. So if you want these a higher priority, you could. In this case, I have it just set to 5, just a default value. So once that is set, I'm going to go ahead and push this, run through everything. Okay, so no errors right there. Go back through and I'll show you what the final product looks like. If you go to annotate, go to Foundry, you can see right here, this is already in done, this data row we added. You can see all the different people highlighted. Here's the different variety of vehicles that it picked up. And it overall did a pretty good job. Like again, I have this set to done, but if you had that task you set to any of the other ones, you could send it to different workflows. So if I wanted to set it to initial label tasks as pre-labels, I could. If I wanted to send it to rework, I could. Any of these different task queues, you have that ability to send it to. I hope that helps. I hope that helps you understand the SDK a little bit. Once you have this initial UI stuff set up, it's just simply copy and pasting these values into your next set of data rows you want to add to that project, and then you're good to go.